Everybody, it's Doug and Chaim. We're out doing some essential business. We're still catching up at 2. We're driving down into the Judean Desert, and this is just a really pretty spot, and we wanted to show you around a little bit. A little tour. So you've got the very edge of the Dead Sea right here. That horizon that you're looking at are the mountains of Jordan, or the biblical land of Moab. So Moab is where Ruth, the Moabitess, a nice Gentile girl, comes wandering over into Bethlehem, which is, that way. And so what you're looking at here is the Jordan Valley, and if you pan all the way around here to the corner, you can see that little town that's over there. That town, it's a little town called Jericho. It's been around a little while. It's I don't know, since the time of Joshua leveled it, but it's also Elisha's spring is in there. That spring is actually still part of the spring that feeds Jericho. So when the spies came over, checking everything out, they would have been coming out right across there, and they would have said, "This is a land of milk and honey." So what they're seeing isn't lots of cows and lots of bees. They're seeing a wonderful, plentiful water source over here in Jericho. It's literally an oasis in the desert. And all of the green that you're seeing is all based on irrigation from both the Jordan River or that well that's Elisha's well that is still flowing. Huge amounts of water. That's the main water source of Jericho. So that water source has been here for thousands of years. But all of the green, if you've caught up with my book, Israel Rising, I have photos from the Jericho area that less than 100 years ago, this entire place was empty and desolate and forgotten. So all of the green that you're seeing is irrigation and farming that's really happened in the last 50 years. So it's a profound place. Right down here in the valley was where Elijah would have disappeared into a little whirlwind, on up. And yeah, so Chaim is behind the camera, so we're going to trade.
Shalom to you all. This isn't yet our 2 o'clock prayer hotline, which is going to be happening very soon. So as soon as y'all wake up in America or wherever time zone you're in, we're so excited to be talking about the last day of Passover, the last day of no bread, last day of matzah. Unless you want to just keep on going, go for it. We're going to be able to talk about what they would do in the times of the Bible, and especially, I don't know if you can tell, but beyond Jericho, and up that way, you'll see into the mountains of Ephraim, and not far over there is a place called Shechem. Okay, Shechem is where Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, of course, we know that Jacob bought land there, and that's where they call in modern tongue Nablus, which was actually, they were trying to say what the Romans were calling Neapolis, or new city-state. But it wasn't really a new city-state. It was land bought by Jacob called Shechem, or like the shoulder. So what's cool is right now, or what's interesting, is right now, there's a mount called Mount Gerizim, or it's a Mount of Blessing, it's nicknamed, because that's where the blessings were pronounced over the blessings of keeping the Torah, which is like, for example, no sickness and plague will be on you, for example. You'll have corn, you'll have wine. It's like very exciting. But what these guys do, they're called Samaritans. So right now they're preparing to end the whole Passover time. Often they'll actually do a sacrifice. They definitely do it at the beginning, but even at the end, they'll do a sacrifice. If it was in the temple time, you know that there's different sacrifices that are offered throughout the year. Well, in Passover, the most amount of lambs are sacrificed throughout the whole year. You have a huge concentration of lambs, so it smells like barbecue all the time. But I'm really excited that this land is being restored, and as Doug so eloquently, thank you, stated, that look at this greenery, look at these trees, this is desert.
Crazy!
Desert. But you can only imagine when the children of Israel came back with those grapes. You had the 2 spies, Jew and Gentile, Israel and the nations, Caleb and Joshua. It's always been Israel and the nations. That's why these calls are so amazing, because we're connecting Israel and the nations in God's plan and His intention. But they came over there, just above the Dead Sea. Again, you can hardly see it, but the Dead Sea is right over there, just trust me.
There it is.
That's it. And that right above the Dead Sea, they would have crossed over, and it wouldn't have looked all desolate, because they had grapes. They said the land is beautiful. It's a beautiful land that I bring you into, God says. And it was. Now, it has since become desolate, but the whole beauty even of Israel Rising book is showcasing, even in the last few years, the transformation. And now some people might say, well, that's drip irrigation, that's micro irrigation, that's netafim, that's amiad systems, that's aquaponics, hydroponics, aeroponics. That's Israeli technology being used to cause forestation to grow and desertification to shrink and reverse. So these are signs of the time, because remember we said the vine is a sign. We're always saying the vine is a sign. The vine's a sign of what? The vine is the sign of the beginning of the age of Messiah, when people will dwell under their fig tree and their vine and fig tree.
They're vines.
Vines and fig trees. So that's a sign of this age of peace, this age of Messiah that's actually coming upon the world. So we're starting to see the beginnings of that. You ask any rabbi, he'll tell you these are the beginning signs of an age of Messiah. Of course, they're going to go, when they see him, they say, is this your second visit to Israel or your first visit? Okay, but my point is, there is an amazing sign that God promised. That He didn't say when you come back to the land, you're going to be the big rulers. When you come back to this land that since is going to be desolate, you're going to be the big shots. No, He says you're going to be farmers. And there's going to be a sign, and it's going to be a vine. Just like the sign of the Aliyah on Passover. It's Passover. When the two spies, when we actually crossed over the Jordan River, was on Passover out of Egypt. Left Egypt on Passover, crossed over on Passover. I know we're saying this a lot, but it's cool to remember the times that we're living in. And so the vine was the sign of Aliyah. It's all about, and of course we know Yeshua says, I am the true vine, and you are the branches. Every vine in me that doesn't bear fruit, he prunes. So what's the difference? This is the question. What's the difference between busyness and actual bearing fruit, productivity? Busyness and productivity, two very different things. There's busyness and there's productivity. What's the difference? I'll tell you. The difference is called pruning. If we allow ourselves to be pruned to where we're focusing like a laser focus on what really matters, then we're going to be fruitful. And this is how you know my disciples. He says that he wants us to bear much fruit, that people will see that you are my disciples. They will see your good works and glorify the Father which is in heaven. So that is pruning. Vines get pruned, and then they produce amazing, award-winning grape juice or wine.
We like that.
So that's really awesome. And so that's
okay.
The vine is a sign.
Okay, so here. Listen, this was we were out again. It just happens to be day 2 where we were out and around a little bit, we needed to do some stuff for the kibbutz. So we're out and around. So at 2:00, for those of you that enjoyed the whatever the shenanigans happened yesterday at 2, you get a double portion today, back to back, because we'll be on the road. So
road tripping
at the top of the hour at 2:00 East Coast, or 2:00 Israel time, 7:00 a.m. if you're on the East Coast of the United States. Tune in with us. We'll be on the road. We'll be talking. It'll be kind of like yesterday. Goofy.
Yes.
But this is just such a pretty spot to stop.
Yeah, and especially because of the first fruits teachings that we talked about, Jericho being the first city after they crossed. We thought we had to line these up for you. We said they crossed over above the Dead Sea, which will become fresh. And then the first city, you can hardly see it, but it's right there. It's called Jericho. That's the modern Jericho. And so that is the first fruits. We talked about Yeshua rose from the dead on first fruits. Well, that was the first fruits of the land, and we know that whole thing belonged to God, not even a robe or anything. So it's just amazing to line those up for you.
Also, this is my sales pitch. If you are interested in Israel Rising or anything along those lines, if you haven't got it yet, we are running a end of Passover sale for the next couple days. EzraAdventures.com/store, and it's the cheapest we've ever blown out Israel Rising books, and you should get a pile of them.
To be up to date with what God is doing, and see you guys at 2:00
2
Israel time.